So, okay. Okay, more folks coming in. All right. Welcome, everybody. Again, I'm Melissa Coons, the Collaborations Manager with Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization. Thanks for coming. It's been over a year since the last time this group came together, and we rescheduled due to the Typhoon Sinlaku that came through the Northern Marianas Islands and affected Guam as well. So thank you all for making it, and I hope that everyone's doing all right on their path in recovery. For me, I'm new here to this group, and I think I might see a couple of familiar faces. And I know that there are folks here who have been coming consistently to these since they began a few years ago. And I imagine there's some folks who are new as well. So to help us all be on the same page, I just wanted to talk about the goals of the network and why we're here. So this is funded and supported by the U.S. Forest Service and the Institute of Pacific Islands Forestry. It's meant to serve folks who do work related to wildfire in the U.S. affiliated Pacific Islands. And the main goal is to support connection so everyone can learn together, stay aware of what's happening in the region, stay informed of the available resources, opportunities, and support, share learnings, coordinate on projects, and generally support one another around wildfire work. So a bit about Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization, also known as HWMO. We've supported wildfire education and prevention across Hawaii and the Pacific for more than 25 years. The goal is to be a hub that connects residents, land managers, firefighters, agencies, to share knowledge and reduce wildfire risk before it starts. We are funded by grants and donations, so we focus on strong partnerships and local involvement. And the goal is simple: to help people, lands, and communities of Hawaii and the Pacific live safely with fire. Some of the programs I'll touch on, we think about our programs in terms of the National Cohesive Wildland Fire Strategy. And I know Heather will be touched on this in her presentation as well. But they're fire-adapted communities, or people in communities, land and water, and firefighting capacity. So, and all these categories are meant to be informed by sound science and knowledge. And there's definitely overlap between those elements. And sometimes it's just a gray area for where a program or activity may fit. So within those, on people and community, we have a home assessment program that helps folks identify what they can do around their own homes for reducing risk. A Firewise Communities program with over 50 sites now in Hawaii. There's also a Guam Firewise program managed by the Department of Agriculture's Forestry and Soil Resources Division. And we also conduct and support outreach and education. So one of those photos shows a group of middle school teachers developing a wildfire curriculum for Guam middle schoolers. For land and water, we support risk reduction projects and help conduct hazard assessments and mapping. And for firefighting capacity, we support fire planning and technical assistance. And there's definitely overlap, again, between categories. For example, a fire break may prevent a fire from spreading to lands and waters of importance or community, but it also provides access to firefighters. And I think it might have been someone in this group, our staff, who said that like brush trucks or fuel breaks, relationships are part of our wildfire resilience infrastructure. And so that's why we convene and support different kinds of groups coming together focused on wildfire, including this one. And they tend to span all the strategy areas, the communities, the lands and waters, and the firefighting capacity. This screenshot is from I think it was the very first Pacific Islands Area Wildfire Network gathering, I think in 2022. So you'll probably see some friendly and familiar faces on there, including folks who are here today. I wanted to share very quickly about the Pacific Fire Exchange program, which you may already be familiar with. It's a communication partnership between HWMO and the University of Hawaii. Sarah Gabrielson, who is currently on parental leave, is a program coordinator. And our co-executive directors, Elizabeth and Nani, along with Clay Trownick at UH, are the co-PIs. It's one of 15 regional exchanges, and the focus is to share relevant, credible research and technical knowledge in a way that's useful to folks like you on the call, the managers, responders, folks thinking about fire, the policymakers who are doing the applied wildfire work. If you have ideas or feedback around the kinds of information that would be useful to you or resources you think would be good to be shared with others, PFX and Sarah are good channels for that. Right. We have a few staff who wanted to be here today, whose hearts are with us, but weren't able to make it. So I want to share briefly. I'll let the folks who are here introduce themselves. But Nani and Elizabeth would have liked to have been here, but couldn't make it this time. Amanda Uwalo and Sarah Gabrielson usually would be here with us. And with that, I want to move it to round robin introductions. So after you've introduced yourself with your name, where you're calling in from, and your organization, please pass it on to someone else. And if you're able to turn on your camera, it'd be nice to see the face that goes with the voice. So again, I'm Melissa Coons, Collaborations Manager with Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization, and I'm on Hawaii Island. I will pass it to Rachel.
Hello, I just put a cracker in my mouth. I am Rachel Jolly. I am with the University of Guam. So I'm in Guam right now, and I'm a restoration ecologist, and it's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you tag someone else in, Rachel?
Oh, let me pass it. I'll pass it to Heather.
Hello, I'm Heather Forrester with HWMO, and I'm the Community Wildfire Planner and worked on the Western Pacific Wildfire Needs Assessment. And I'm located in Hilo, Hawaii, the Big Island of Hawaii. And I'll pass it off to Ashley.
My name's Ashley Bear. I'm the Geospatial Fire Data Specialist at HWMO, and so I work on the Western Pacific Wildfire Tracking Project, and I am based on Oahu in Honolulu. And I will pass it off to Abeal Society.
Hi, good morning. My name is Alira, and I'm the Abil Wildfire Coordinator, and I'm from Palau. Yeah.
Hi, Alira. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you. I'll pass it on to uh Pohnpei Department.
Hi everyone, my name is Jason Gonzaga. I'm a fire lieutenant at the Department of Public Safety, the Division of Fire and Emergency Services. And I'll let my colleagues, my boss, introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Santos Philip. I'm the Director for Public Safety in Bombay. Nice to meet you all.
Good to meet you.
Chief of Fire from the state. Thank you.
Morning. My name is Kevin Joel. I am the Chief of Police from the state. I'm working along with Chief of Fire.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. All right. Since I imagine it's a little difficult to see who might be on the call, I'll pass it to Eugene.
Hello. How many Eugenes are participating in this show? Only me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Eugene Aperiam. I'm from the Pohnpei Forestry Division on the Department of R&D. and I'll pass it on to, I don't know, Susan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Susan Cordell. Oh, I guess I don't, oh, there I have a camera. Nice to see all of you. I'm a research ecologist with the Institute of Pacific Island Forestry in Hilo, Hawaii. And I've been working with PFX since the beginning and working out of the Pacific primarily on wildfire mapping as related to this presentation today. Great to see you all. And I will pass it on to Jason Johnson.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name's Jason Johnson, and I am with the Abil Society right now. So I work with Alira, and I am primarily a plant pathologist, but I'm also a forester and have worked for the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. So, but I'm currently located in Palau. Glad to be here. Oh, let's see. I will pass it along. To Christian Colo.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christian. I work with UH Manoa with the College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resilience on some forestry-related projects in the Pacific. And I am based out of the Big Island in the Hilo area. I will pass it to Patrick.
Hi, I'm Patrick Bowser from the National Weather Service, stationed here in WFO Guam, and I'm the fire weather focal point. How about we go to Jason Johnson?
Oh, we did Jason.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's hard to keep track. How about Boyd? Maybe is that all right?
Yeah, let's go with Boyd McKenzie.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Boyd McKenzie. I work for the Weather Service office, technically for the Chuk office in FSM, but I'm currently in Pohnpei right now. Thank you. Nice to meet you all. Oh yeah, I'll pass it on to maybe the Palau DFLW.
You. Good morning, Kiara Swanson, and I represent the Division of Forest, Land, and Water Management for Palau, and I'm here with my chief, Larry Mamis.
Good morning, everyone. Larry Mamis, Chief of Palau Division of Forest, Land, and Water. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll pass it on to BC8RQ.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Roy Shonko. I work for the Guam Fire Department, and I run their prevention bureau. I run the operations part of the fire department. So working with the Department of Agriculture in Guam. Nice to meet everyone. Half a day.
Thank you. Half a day. And I think the last person we might have left is Ashley McWegan.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley McWigan. I am an extension specialist in agroforestry and forests at the College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resilience. And I also serve as the coordinator for Hawaii and the U.S. affiliated Pacific Islands for the Southwest, the USDA Southwest Climate Hub. Then I also work with Christian Colo on the project that he mentioned, supported by the U.S. Forest Service, dealing with dealing with forest resilience and networks across the Pacific region. So thanks for having me.
Great, thank you. Did we
Oh,
miss
and
any?
I'm in Hilo, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Did we miss anybody? I think we covered it, right? Great, thank you. I feel like we have a really good group here today. I want to just review what we're talking about. So we did our welcome and introductions. We'll touch briefly on some resources and training opportunities. Heather's going to be talking about a needs assessment summary before we go into small groups, including discussing part of what she shares with us before coming back as a larger group and wrapping up. So here, and it's great we have some weather folks on. If there are any corrections to what I share, please do chime in. But the first resource that could be helpful to folks is the weekly regional weather outlooks from Landon at the National Weather Service. The updates cover the area from the Marshall Islands all the way from east to west to Guam, Palau, CNMI, and include the Federated States of Micronesia as well. I want to point out that in his most recent update, it was mentioned that around June 4th, the National Weather Service will release its 2026 Western North Pacific Tropical Cyclone Outlook. And it will also include, along with that outlook, it will also include information on what I guess is expected to be a strong El Nino for the islands. And with that strong El Nino means that the Western Pacific can anticipate really dry season. So if folks aren't already signed up for these updates, I'd encourage you to do so soon so you can catch that one that's coming in early June. Is there anything additional to know or any adjustments, corrections from the folks who actually do work in weather around this? You can always add it to the chat too, if that's easier.
From what I'm seeing, no. We have another one coming out later on this week.
Okay.
So that will be updated here in the very near future. The only correction I have to say is we're going to expect a more wetter year this year for wet season.
Okay.
And then it'll go into the very dry season next season.
Okay.
Is what we're anticipating at this point. Still, Mother Nature does what Mother Nature wants, so we'll have to kind of play it by ear and wait and see.
Right. Thank you. That's helpful. And actually, from my understanding of how the vegetation growth and fire hazard works out is that the wet followed by dry is a recipe for greater fire hazard because everything grows more and then it's just drying out sitting there. So that's actually really helpful information. Thank you, Patrick. And then another resource, I'm going to let Ashley speak to this briefly. And yeah, go ahead, Ashley.
Thank you, Melissa. So as many of you probably already know, there has been ongoing satellite imagery tracking of wildfire burn areas for US affiliated Pacific Islands. And that has been taking place since 2013 for Palau, 2015 for Guam, 2016 for Yap, Saipan, Tinian, and Rota. And then in 2025, we actually added American Samoa, as well as Pohnpei and Costa Rica. So you may have also been familiar with the old data access portal that my predecessor, Allison Earle, created, and ultimately we outgrew that solution. And so last year I worked on a new one for accessing, exploring, and downloading all of the data and maps that you can use for your outreach, education, and planning. And I'll go ahead and put the link to that in the chat so that you can take a look at that. And then just so you know, we are going to have a webinar coming up where I will share a lot more details about the data and kind of go through and like walk you through how to do all of the exploration and doing all of the data downloads and creating the maps that you need. And that will be on June 10th or 11th, right here in the same time slot that this meeting was in. So I think that should be June 10th, 2 p.m. Hawaii time, 1 p.m. for American Samoa, 9 a.m. for Palau on June 11th. And then 10 for CNMI, Guam, Chuuk, and Yap, and then 11 a.m. for Costa Rica and Pohnpei. And then we will be sending out an webinar invite to that. So if you are interested or have any questions about it, please come join us at that webinar.
Thanks, Ashley. All right. And then something last year, some of our staff, Ashley, Nani, and Sarah, visited partners in Palau and Guam. And something they heard from partners was a desire for more information about in-person trainings, including those that are in other regions. So Sarah Gabrielson, the PFX program coordinator, put together a resource describing these trainings. Some of them are available on a recurring basis, or some are kind of on request, or there's a mix. And I did send it out to the email list. Please put in the chat if you didn't get that. I wouldn't have expected you to review it ahead of this meeting, but I wanted to provide it so that if you wanted to, you could have something to reference. I'll touch briefly on the items mentioned. And I do want to note that the opportunities that come on an annual basis have mostly passed already, but it could be helpful just to make note of them to make plans for next year. So these are the Wildland Urban Interface Conference. It happens in March, most often in Nevada. The International Fire Behavior and Fuels Conference, also in the spring, April or May. There's an Arizona Wildland Fire Academy that happens over the course of one whole work week in March. They cover a wide range of courses. It goes from basic operation, like wildfire operations, to advanced incident management, and any kind of course it seems that you would want related to wildfire is at the Arizona Wildfire Academy. And of course, there's the Hawaii Wildfire Summit, but the month it's held varies a bit from year to year. We can try to let this group know when we know when the next one is going to be scheduled. Then in terms of ongoing and other opportunities, there's the offerings and support from the U.S. Forest Service on wildfire training. So agencies and fire departments can make requests for specific topics. You can also make requests through state fire funding proposals. And the contact for that is Barb. And in the printed document, like the PDF document, we'll have her email in there so you can contact her directly. Some examples of recent or close to upcoming trainings are Introduction to Incident Management and a course on fire investigations. Other ongoing opportunities is from COCO, or Coalitions and Collaboratives. They talk about community wildfire mitigation best practices. They have in-person and virtual options, and they'll be happily tailor their content to your specific place. The National Fire Protection Association course on assessing structure ignition potential has like foundational information and provides an understanding of how the built environment can catch fire and ways to prevent that. So I know folks in Guam and Palau will be holding these trainings for a specific group, and the classes are already full. But if Alira, and I don't think Asia is here, but if you're up for it, Alira, I'm curious if you'd be willing to share, how the arrangements for the COCO and the ASIP courses were made, who might be participating, and what you hope to come out of the classes.
Yeah, hi. So again, I'm the wildfire coordinator for Abil, and I'm just gonna share a little bit about what we've been planning for the training. So we're gonna be having our ASIP training on June 22 to 23, and then our COCO training on the 24th to the 25th. And then we're targeting around 30 people, and currently only half of the Wildfire Network here have registered. So we're still waiting for some of them to register. A big part of the planning process for both trainings was actually looking for where the venue will be held, and thankfully the state of Moramlungui agreed to host the venue for us. So we will be having our training there. We're actually still discussing planning, so we'll be having another meeting, us and the Katsumi, which is the Maramlungwi Pan admin who will be hosting. We're going to be having a meeting on the 21st, and we'll be discussing more about what we're going to be doing during the training. And then, so we chose Ngaramlungwi State to host the venue because they're relatively central to the country and accessible for all the participants traveling from different states to attend. During our planning, we also discussed about materials that we'll be needing during the training, where we also agreed to provide those materials. And then we also discussed the locations for the ASIP field assessment exercises. So Ngaramlungwi State will be helping coordinate the structures that the participants will be using for their assessment practices during their second day of the ASIP training. People that we will be hoping to participate are people from the fire department, and then our PAN representatives, our protected areas network rangers will mostly be going, and then we have people from the Bureau of Environment and people from Environmental Quality Protection Board, and also OBIL will be going as well. We hope that the training will help strengthen wildfire preparedness in Palau, and we hope that it will improve coordination and build practical wildfire response and assessment skills. And we hope that it will support stronger community wildfire planning moving forward. That's kind of just the main updates we have for now, and then we'll continue to plan on the 21st during our meeting.
Thank you so much for that update. Very thorough. I appreciate it. And sounds like you have a really nice group, like a diverse set of roles coming into the same room for those trainings. And we have one last note on learning opportunities. JJ Munns has just joined us. So he'll be sharing briefly about a wildfire symposium for Rapa Nui. And we recognize that this is outside of the region we would usually think about. And I think there's some value in hearing about the goings, the things that are happening in other Pacific islands. So Juju, if you could briefly share about the symposium that you're planning.
Yes, thank you so much, Melissa, and thanks for having me. Sorry, I'm jumping on a little late. Yes, the Rapa Nui is currently developing lots of fire management practices and systems in an attempt to better coordinate with the community, as well as coordinate with whatever resources they have also coming from the continent, mainland Chile. Rapa Nui, a Polynesian island, the easternmost point in the Polynesian Triangle, is a relatively small island and is having increasing wildfire events anthropogenically caused. And right now there is an attempt to increase education and communication with the community, as well as learn from other islands around the Pacific. Instead of just receiving lots of fire management techniques from mainland Chile, which isn't well contextualized to the island. So the point of this symposium is to engage with other folks around the Pacific, other communities, and hear other voices and experiences about wildfire management and communication and culturally sensitive practices for wildfire management. And this symposium will be in July 2026 on the 22nd. And we're fortunate enough to have speakers from Australia, from Aotearoa, from Samoa, from Hawaii as well, and perhaps also California engaging in this discussion, considering community engagement with wildfire management, culturally sensitive approaches to wildfire management, and other techniques and methods for wildfire management in insular communities as well. And that's the idea. You're all more than invited, and I can share more information with Melissa to hopefully disseminate. We have a website coming live this week, which will have lots more information as well. So thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Juju. Appreciate it. Yeah, so in addition to the webinar information for Ashley's presentation on the wildfire dashboard, we'll send out any information we get about the symposium focusing on Rapa Nui. And I think in speaking with Juju, there's a lot of connections in terms of the small land area, the close connection to the oceans, the grass and or shrub fire cycle, and needing to find what works locally. So this could be, I think it'll be interesting if this group is able to make it to see what pieces of information are inspiring and useful in your own place. Okay, so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Heather, who will be providing information, or for some of the folks here, a refresher on the wildfire needs assessment from a few years ago. Please take it away, and I'll share your slides. Here we go.
Thank you. Aloha, everyone. Again, my name is Heather Forrester. I'm the Community Wildfire Planner at HWMO. And back in 2022, I worked with some of you, possibly. There are a lot of new faces, though, so this might be new information for you. But worked to develop the Western Pacific Wildfire Needs Assessment. And at the tail end, when it was being submitted, I actually went on maternity leave. So I feel like I kind of went off a cliff and disappeared. But I am still very interested in helping and contributing knowledge for the region. But today I'm going to go over the results. And this is just a reminder, and then also to check in if things have changed or remain the same. And then, as Melissa said, we'll spend some of our time in small breakout groups to discuss this. So as I'm going through the slides, just keep your eyes out, keep your eyes open for things that still apply, and then anything that is no longer relevant. The needs assessment was funded by the U.S. Forest Service, and it was meant to look at wildfire challenges across the U.S. affiliated Pacific Islands, and it identified key needs, priorities, and opportunities for action. Next slide, please. Wildfire risk is growing in the Western Pacific due to drought and the spread of flammable invasive species and other contributors. Many of the fires are human caused through land clearing, hunting, or accidental burning. And they impact our forests, water systems, reefs, and communities. So again, this assessment focused on understanding regional wildfire needs, identifying the gaps in capacity and resources, and also helping guide future funding and action. So going back to the last slide, please. As a resident of Hilo on the Big Island, I can relate with the wildfire issues that you all face. And this quote I've heard many times, but the vast Pacific Ocean does not separate us. It's actually something that can bring us together. Next slide, please. So the project followed a collaborative region-wide approach, and the objectives and approach were to identify the U.S. affiliated Pacific Island wildfire priorities through stakeholder collaboration, also to support place-based goals to reduce impacts and improve community engagement, to create tools to communicate needs to funders and partners, to document funding and capacity building needs, also to gather input through interviews, workshops, surveys, and existing plans. And then finally, produce materials to guide shared wildfire action across the region. So the goal of this needs assessment is not just to document the problems, but to build coordination, also to improve communication and support the long-term wildfire resilience. Next slide, please. So across the region, this is some of the main needs that emerged, and they're grouped by the cohesive strategy categories with people in communities that correlates to the fire adapted communities. Land and water correlates to resilient landscapes, and then firefighting capacity correlates to the safe, effective wildfire response. When it comes to people in communities, there was a concern about human-caused ignitions as a big issue. Also, lack of awareness and education, weak enforcement laws, and a need for more funding and community training. In the land and water category, there was the need for ecological restoration and fuel management, water systems that are being impacted by wildfire and how to address those issues, and then invasive and flammable vegetation that's increasing our risks. And then finally, with firefighting capacity, there's just not enough personnel. The personnel are lacking proper equipment and training, and there are big safety concerns for the responders. So overall, the region needs more education, more enforcement, more ecosystem management, and stronger firefighting systems. Next slide, please. So next, I'm going to briefly highlight the main needs that came out by country. We'll start off with Guam. So there is a strong forestry program in place, but there are still staff shortages. The wildfires are mostly human caused through either burning, hunting, or arson. It was stated that there's low public awareness and engagement, and there's need for better enforcement, dedicated outreach, and enhanced community engagement strategies. So in this country, the main theme was behavior change and an increase in outreach efforts. Next, if we can talk about CNMI. So in this country, the wildfire is handled by the fire department, not the forestry department. The main causes were through land clearing and poaching, and some of the major needs that came out were better protective equipment. They needed some small vehicles for the remote access and more staff and training, fire breaks, and mapping tools. The overall theme was more and better equipment, and then filling in those workforce gaps. The next is FSM. The worst fire impacts are being seen in Yap, and the fires are often from uncontrolled use of fire as a tool. There's limited firefighting infrastructure, and the needs included reliable equipment and vehicles, continued education in schools, again, fire mapping and planning tools, and workforce retention. So the key theme here was the capacity and the need to retain staff. Next, moving on to Palau. There's already advanced planning in place through the Wildfire Prevention Network, but there is the need for more implementation support. Some of their priorities included community education programs, mapping and planning, fuel management and reforestation, and then improve firefighting and infrastructure and training. So you'll see a lot of these are kind of being repeated across the countries. So the key theme here was there's strong planning, but there's the need for implementation support. And then moving on to American Samoa and the Marshall Islands, there was less involvement here, but with the wetter climates, it was stated that the wildfire was a less developed issue, and there was very limited engagement so far. Some of their needs were more stakeholder involvement, some baseline data and planning, and then early stage prevention efforts. And then next slide. So just to kind of wrap things up, as I mentioned before, wildfire is a growing regional issue, largely driven by human activity and environmental conditions. Across all countries, the biggest needs are education and awareness, stronger enforcement, investment in firefighting capacity, and better coordination across the region. And with this assessment, it was just the beginning, and things may have changed since it was done, but it was meant to provide a clear roadmap for building a more wildfire ready and wildfire resilient Western Pacific. Along with the needs assessment, there was this Pacific Islands Area Network, which we're meeting today, was one of the outcomes of that needs assessment. And it's meant to be a group that shares knowledge and training opportunities, coordinates projects across islands, and supports collaboration and peer learning. So because we face similar issues, it's good for all of us to come together to discuss what's going on. So this is critical, and I understand that we all have limited resources individually, but we hope that you all continue to join us at these meetings and let us know how we can improve them so your needs are met. And finally, I would like to leave you with the thought that wildfire readiness is a long game. We must learn and act continuously and together, and shared understanding is foundational. So thank you for your time, and I don't know if we have time for questions, but I'm happy to take any if there are.
Yeah, we are running a bit behind, but maybe we can see if there's one question and then we can move to breakout groups. Thank you, Heather.
Yes.
Any questions for Heather? Can add to the chat or come off mute. All right, go ahead.
So,
oh, I see a hand.
I was just wondering, like, is there any existing like decision-making tools for like wildfire priority areas to be reforested or for green belts and fire breaks?
Do you want to take that one, Melissa, or do you want me?
Okay, so just understanding the question, are there any resources for prioritizing areas for planting green breaks or restoring forested areas? That's it. That's a good question. I don't know of any myself for decision-making tools that might be specific to this geography. Do you have any resources or ideas, Heather?
I would direct everyone just to our website, hwmo.org, and just pulling it up here to see if there are any good resources. Uh, I think it would probably be best if we scanned through what we have, because we do have resources about wildfire resilient landscapes. So maybe in the follow-up email, I could suggest Melissa to kind of outline some of the main resources that we do have.
Really quick, we do have a fact sheet that's focused on fuel breaks for Pacific Island grasslands and savannas that's on the PFX website. I'll drop the link in the chat, but that does have some helpful tips for like choosing priority areas for that.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah, thanks, Ashley. I was like, had a brain lapse there, and I'm like, wait a minute, we do have something on fuel breaks. So thank you for putting that in the chat. And yes, Heather, we'll add it to any follow-ups, the resources we have.
And it's a good reminder that with HWMO, we have our website, hwmo.org, and then as Ashley mentioned, there's the PFX website. So we'll include that in the follow-up as well, and those resources are tailored for the Pacific.
All right, thanks for the question. Now, this is what we wanted to leave the most time for. And so I think we're going to adjust our timing a little bit to give maybe 20 or so minutes for breakout rooms. So based on like remembering what Heather shared about the needs assessment and what is applicable still to your place, or maybe not quite as applicable as it was previously, new developments. So the goal is to connect with each other, learn from each other, and share what's been going on with wildfire for your place and your organization lately. And also, what are your wildfire related needs today? What's the same or different? So I think I've got the breakout rooms pretty much set up. I'm going to open the rooms and we'll be back in about 20 minutes. And we have Ashley, Heather, and I supporting those rooms, and we'll be able to report back. So let's give that a go and see you back in about 20 minutes. Folks are willing to share back. I thought we would just have Ashley, Heather, and I report back, and any highlights or major themes that came out in your breakout groups on what's going on with wildfire in people's places and organizations, and what needs are the same or changed or new.
I'll volunteer to go for it first.
Great, thanks.
Ours was a little bit painfully quiet because two of the people in our group was the same person, which was Roy from Guam, and unfortunately he was having some technical difficulties with feedback, but he was talking about burning vehicles was one of their big issue, and also trash and brush fires. But things are getting better in Guam. And then Ashley and Rachel were also in my group, who are just starting up on projects, so didn't have too much to share. But look forward to working with the group. And Ashley is located in Hilo again, and but we'll be helping all of the US API. And then Rachel is in Guam and is preparing for a big fire season.
Thanks, Heather. Ashley?
Yeah, well, sure. I'll do my best to summarize, but the general consensus was that fires are basically on a upward trend for all of us here. We had Palau, Rapa Nui, Pohnpei, and then Patrick. And so, let's see. Palau has a nationwide fire ban in the northern states after seeing a lot of wildfires and really dry weather earlier in the year. And so that's been decreasing fires, but they're feeling really good about their trainings coming up and everything. So that's really exciting. But similar to Rapa Nui and Pohnpei, just a lot of challenges with like response capacity, I think is like the big through line that we kind of all agreed on is just response and training capacity. And then actually, can I ask Patrick if he's comfortable sharing with the about the fire danger rating that you were telling us about? You mind sharing about that?
Yes. Currently, we are using the KBDI fire danger rating here on Guam, which ends up having a 5-tier bracket system of going from low, medium, high, very high, and extreme. The metrics that we're using to formulate where at in that gradient, we're looking to add another index to called the Grassland Fire Index. This is what the central United States uses because they have a lot of the same types of fuels as what we do here. Here on Guam, we have a lot of swordgrass that helps with the fires. Um, and what we're doing is we're trying to quantify a greening factor on how green the vegetation is because that tells us how lively it is and incorporate that into our fire danger rating. And once that's complete, we'll be able to remotely sensor the entirety of Guam. And then once that gets all through all the kinks and trials and everything, we may be able to implement the same metrics as to other islands within the Marianas and Micronesia, assuming they have the same vegetation like what we do here at Guam. Uh, if they don't, then we'd have to kind of tweak the system to tailor it to the individual islands.
Thank you. I didn't want to misspeak on anything, but I thought that was an interesting project to write. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ashley. In our group, we had Christian Colo from University of Hawaii. Great news. I'm so glad Christian was able to join because there's a cooperative agreement that's in process for more forest-related extension work and support in the U.S. affiliated Pacific Islands. So great that you're able to listen in today, Christian. And just, I think at least some of the gaps that people are talking about will hopefully be closed a bit with those new personnel expected to come in next year. From Palau and DFLW, again, as mentioned in the larger group, looking at green belts and fuel breaks for priority areas, interested in mapping and monitoring what comes in after fire. Also related to vegetation on Palau, there's I might mispronounce this, but an Eduid tree wilt. So a forest tree that tends to grow on the savanna margin that interfaces with the forest, interface with that savanna forest transition, sees the need for fire investigations and information on how to invigorate tree planting, so helping the canopy closure come sooner to crowd out and shade out the ferns and grasses that grow. From Pohnpei in Eugene, we have there was a grant for schools and community education, and they're waiting for that grant to come back online to continue that outreach. and interested in just continuing to network and seeing what capacity can be built from that. Also interested in restoration of fire adapted lands, revegetating, and a good question of how the needs assessment is being used and how those gaps, those needs, are going to be funded. So I think that's a larger question for us to look into. Is there anything that was missed or that people like want to make sure we hear about and get right that we might not have gotten quite right or forgot to mention?
I think you're good, Melissa.
Okay, thank you. So we're close to time. So even though we started off a little behind, I think we'll be okay. Wrapping up, so definitely, as we mentioned a couple times, we'll send out information about the webinar coming up. We'll share about the wildfire symposium focused on Rapa Nui from Juju. We have some green break resources to share that was prompted by Palau DFLW. And then we were planning to have these meetings quarterly. So if we keep that rhythm, that would mean the next one would be about mid-August. And I just want to check with the group if there's any potentially conflicting events or gatherings that we should be aware of before setting a date for an August meeting.
Just for your information, Melissa, can you please work with Jennifer with the Urban and UCF program, so your webinars will not be overlapping?
Yes, Jennifer Himmelman with the Forest Service.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great point. I will check with her and I would be happy to be in touch with her. Thank you for that suggestion. Okay, were there any other follow-ups that I missed? You can also add to the chat. And I've lost my chat. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for coming. I'm really glad you could make it. I feel like I got a lot out of hearing from each of you in your own places, what you're thinking about, what you're working on, and where we can be of support. So we'll send out an invite for August once we settle on that date, and see you all then. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, you guys. Bye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you from Palau.